How would you like to make your first million? And today we have Fredrik with us with his business growth strategies, and he reflecting here that why the entrepreneurs fail to reach the first million, lack of sales or funding. You can ask him anything, and he will be able to help you. He has worked over 50 countries across industries and raised tens of millions, focusing in buying business. So, Fredrik, tell us what are the 5 steps for entrepreneurs to make the first million?
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
Number one, you need to dare to sell something, and why not ask the customer what they want? So asking what they want, and you deliver exactly that. It's no rocket science at all, but instead of spending a lot of time and precious resources to build something that someone might want to have, dare to sell the first 10 copies of whatever that might be that you might not even have produced yet, that the customer wants to buy, and then you design that, and you sell that, and you deliver it, and then you learn from the feedback from the customers. And now, already from day one, you are selling something that people want to have. And that's something that many entrepreneurs make a huge mistake. They set up fantastic idea, but no one wants to buy it. That's number one.
Very good. So, what would be the next step then, Fredrik? That's it. We already
All right.
show our product. We need 5 steps. We already got the first one.
Exactly.
So after what we do,
expand. Land and expand. So instead of having like 100 products, one way to sell a million is actually to have that. Just do the maths. Like Cardone is doing a miniature little book. So if you're going to sell something for $1,000, you just need to sell it 1,000 times. 3 sales a day, and you've done a million in your first year, pretty much.
Okay, so
know your numbers, really. Know your numbers, and don't try to come up with 100 products in year one. Sell what works, and you might want to expand that into like 4 levels. One is like free stuff for branding awareness, something really cheap, like between $10 to $50, and then next step after that might be your really core, and that should ideally cost a bit more, otherwise you will have to sell too many. So ideally at least one or a couple of £1,000 for your core product, and you might have something more substantially more expensive. So today I had a conversation with a company, a consulting project, 80,000, one little thing, and that will take not too long time to deliver.
A fantastic phrase. So we have a step number 1, which is find a problem and try to solve it for your clients. And the step number 2 is expand, right? To try to know your numbers.
Exactly.
So you can you know how much it's costing you to acquire a client and how much to sell the product. Okay, so we have step number 2. So what would be the step number 3?
Perfect.
What would be the step number 3 that entrepreneurs
3
should be doing?
Exactly. So many people run out of time. So you probably, as part of your first 1 million, you will have your first couple of employees. You don't want to have a lot, because that means that you have got 1 million sales and got 1 million costs. You don't want that. So ideally keep down the overheads to a couple of really key people to help you to drive marketing and sales and potentially delivery, depending on which kind of industry you pick. So that's the number 3. Start to delegate, outsource, so you get back some of your time, so you can think about your second million.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, basically hire the right team. Yeah, don't hire too much.
Exactly.
And then okay, now step 4 and 5.
All right. So number 4, super simple. If you're going to sell for more and more money, you need to start to think about systems. So what can you automate inside this process? What can you delegate to those first few employees? And how can you already now start to let them to do tasks that should be your tasks? So you're starting to free up your time. So the cool thing with that systems, delegating and automation is now you can potentially make $1 million in sales, but you didn't have to do all the work. And that's pretty cool.
And the final one?
Keep track of your finances, because it's not good enough, unfortunately, to do your accounting 3 months after the year ended. That means that you don't know if you're selling with a profit or a loss. So know your numbers. And the cool thing with knowing your numbers and having the number 4, the systems in place, and having your employees and the product, and all the way back to your very first sale, all of a sudden now in theory, you could actually sell your business already at this stage, because you have something that might work without your presence. And that is ultimately even more profitable than actually to sell for $1 million is sell your business, which is selling 1 million. And all of a sudden, you might make $1 million instead of making 150,000 in your pocket.
Yeah.
Done.
And the, wow, that's fantastic. So, Freddy, a good way of grow your business is acquire a business. So, what are the main
Yes.
things that entrepreneurs should be looking at out there in order to acquire a business? Because it sounds too good to be true that, okay, if I acquire a business,
Yep.
I can expand my company. And this is actually true. It's one of the fastest way for you to expand the business. But what you need to look at, because at the end of the day, it's like a marriage. Yeah, you are acquiring a business,
Yes.
you are acquiring a new company, and probably if you not check properly, the culture of that company have nothing to do with your culture, and there you go, right? Then you thought that you're gonna expand, you are stuck
Yes.
with a
Exactly.
company. Not long ago, I have a colleague, a friend, that they acquired an accountancy firm, and she has
Yes.
everything with systems, everything works fantastically. And then she acquired a firm. Well, all the clients, they were old people, and they used to they like to be treated personally, and they show up anytime they want. So that firm create that
Yes.
culture with the clients, that the clients can show up anytime they want, and they can sit and they can talk for 1 hour or for 2 hours, and somebody will be somebody there listening to that. And now a new firm acquired this company, and they my friend is telling me, Harry, I didn't. I'm like, these people are crazy. They want me to stay there. They want my
Yes.
team to stay there, show up at any time, spend hours there. Doesn't work financially for me. This is not the culture to know how I run my business. So rather than buying the company to expand the business, it was the opposite.
Yes.
It got a retracement because the
Yes.
culture. So she told me that she learned a big lesson about buying and acquiring clients, and she's taking it slowly in the future. So, what message
Yes.
do you have for
The
people that want to expand the business? And merge and acquisition is clearly one very good way of doing it. But what people should be looking at?
Yeah. So all of my mentors pretty much agree on the following statement: don't buy something which is too small. If it's too small, that means you're buying a job. So let's use our first $1 million company as an example.
Mm-hmm.
If it is too small in terms of profit, and if the owner is too much the business, that means you shouldn't buy it. Unless you just like to buy like the customer list or part of the company. So it needs to be sufficient to have a couple of employees, and it needs to work transfer of value from the owner who's leaving, or the owner that you can still motivate to stay in the business because it's still a partner of the bigger entity. So really, really key, don't buy too small. And then also to have, just like in real estate, same as for buying companies, try to find motivated sellers.
Mm-hmm.
And that is as simple as it sounds, but it's as hard as it sounds. So what is the motivation for selling? Well, if the reason for selling is the business is imploding, well, don't buy it. If the business is on sale because of health reasons, something else, then it might be very, very attractive. It might be whatever reason, but find motivated people. That means that don't find one deal and become blind and too focused on that one. Try to have multiple, so you can have like, yes, we're also looking at 2 other companies, which means you're not a desperate buyer, which puts you in the negotiation position. And also right now, it is the buyer's market. At the same time, the sellers, or even aware sellers that they should sell, that you might talk to, they are uneducated. They have never sold a business before. So you need to be in a position of knowledge so you can explain how this could work. And there are lots of people to learn from, myself included, but there are many other better mentors who've done many more deals than I have that you can learn from. But find people to learn from. Don't need to invent the wheel. There are some basic things you can learn before buying something. And then once you've bought it, you need to think about integration. But think about the integration before you even buy it, because like you said, your friend, the mismatch of the culture, if you've done slightly more due diligence before, like coming in to observe how is this running, what are the finances, and how do you deal with customers? Is there one super big customer that means that if he or she leaves because of the relationship with the owner, because it's a relative, it means half of the business walks out the door. So basic due diligence can help you as well, but don't buy too small is probably one of the most important things. Otherwise, you buy a job.
And then, so which mark do you think that a business is a good size, and where can you find those businesses for sale? Where are they listed?
Right now, there is roughly 2.7 million companies for sale on traditional websites, business brokers, just in the English-speaking countries. And basically, every company is for sale for the right amount. If you walk up to Bezos and you offer him twice the current price, you might consider to sell. So it is.
Well, they offer already to Mark
sale.
Zuckerberg, and he didn't want to sell.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
Okay. So,
but again, he's not motivated. Someone else might be, and
there you
his
go.
life might change, and then he might be motivated. Yeah.
Exactly. There you go. So where can we find the motivated seller for the business?
Yeah. So basically, well, where do you find people of higher caliber that might have more money? So if you think about it, where do they go if they are upper middle class and beyond? Well, they might go to the nicer restaurants. They might go to the best hotel. They might go to the best health clubs. They might be to the best golf clubs. They might be in the little private airport to fly their little helicopter, flying club. Think creatively. Like where would you like to go if you had like 10 times more money, and go there now? So basically, expanding your network, and you can find a lot of these people also on social media as well. They might or might not want to engage with you, depending what your approach is. If you just from completely cold try to jump straight into business conversation, might not be the best you can do. Flattery usually works. It even works on you and me, I think. That if people are complimenting you on your fantastic podcast there, Harry, you might like, okay, I like what you're saying. Tell me more. And then as you develop the relationship, it might be more appropriate to have a coffee or whatever. And all of these people that you try to approach, number one, they can afford their own meal. They can afford their own coffee. They can afford their own drinks. So like to offer them a drink or a coffee is not like a major thing for them, obviously. Ideally be more creative. What can you offer that they might not have access to? It might be that you could introduce a potential new customer to them for their main business. It might be something else. But try to be creative, like offer and lead with value to build a relationship. I even wrote a book about trust, and you would like to have trust, otherwise there will be no chance to have that relationship. And many people have said it before you and me, your network is your net worth. So basically, you need to expand and level up your network. Otherwise, you will not learn and not got access to more than you have today.
So tell us when what are the signs of a good business to buy, and what type of business we have to be more careful if we are thinking to acquire them. I give an
Yep, yep,
example. I give an example. I used to have, I own several businesses, but one of the business that I owned once it was a restaurant. And long story short, I lost over 200,000 pounds and 2 years of my life in that thing. It was a lot of operation,
yes,
and I didn't have enough experience. And I thought I was so passionate about food, but I realized that I'm only passionate because I want to eat it, not cook it.
yes,
So,
yes,
so at the end of the day, the whole thing, the restaurant business itself could be very profitable. I don't deny that, but it's a business that requires a lot
yes,
of operation, food costs, team management, compared with other businesses. For example, I had property business, I have education businesses, I have an event
yes,
uh, business, and I mean, those businesses have way less operation than what a restaurant, and also the ticket for sale is higher. So when I find with clients, they pay more
yes,
money, we have bigger profit margin. So when you go to a restaurant, how much you spend? $60, $100, and then you have 40% food costs, you have 20% operation, you have another extra cost and whatever, and then you're very
yes,
little um, per profit out of that bill. And on top of that, you need to meet
yes,
certain number to break even. And after is when you start to make actually profit because you have a fixed cost every time that you open the door, electricity,
yes,
rent, staff, products, and whatever. So, what are the
yes,
parameters that we should be looking in, or when do we know, oh, this business is great, I should buy it, and how we value those
yeah.
businesses?
So basically, one way how you can cheat every time before you talk to a business owner is just before you even have the conversation, just go to the official public registry in terms of tax and revenue. And there you can find, for example, you're in the UK, just go to company's house, and there you can find out, okay, who is the owner? Who is the director? What is the director's postal address? How much is the revenue? How much is the profit? What are the assets and liabilities? And you know all of that before you even spoke to him or her. Just be aware, you can, of course, adjust your profit if you're like a small company to become basically nothing because you don't want to pay tax. That is just
But
like worth to mention. So again, do just the basic due diligence. Like, are they even profitable on paper? And
But
many
would you
people that,
approach them? Would
for
you approach
example,
them? Would you approach them knowing that they're willing to sell the business, or you just approach them and say, "Hi guys, do you want to sell this business?" How
I
is
would do both. I would do both, but I wouldn't do it as direct as you said there. So it is quite common. For example, I used to have a number of real estate companies in the UK, and because those ownership addresses were directed to my own company, that meant that every month, usually many times per month, I got letters, physical letters soliciting like, would you like to sell your house? Would you like to sell your portfolio? So people are reaching out directly if you own stuff, real stuff that people want to buy. And in this case, it was a very profitable portfolio of multi-let units. And people just know, like, okay, he doesn't have one, but he's actually got a lot. Like in my case, we had like 80 plus keys in London. And people would like to buy that. Like, would you like to have an 80 key portfolio in London yourself, Harry?
yeah?
Yes,
I
no,
do.
maybe?
Yeah, this was one of the
Yeah,
businesses that I
probably,
have in
probably,
London, the
yeah.
multi-let.
So,
Yeah, the
yeah,
multi-let
exactly.
business. Yeah, yeah,
Exactly.
somebody
Yeah.
that
So basically,
80
if you,
multi-lets,
if,
so big
yeah,
volume. Yeah, yeah. This
yeah,
is a big operation
yeah,
going
exactly.
on with
So
80. So.
basically, you,
Mhm.
yeah, exactly. So basically, with profitable assets in the background, you're more likely to be approached as the business owner. And that's exactly how I would also pick and choose. So I was reaching out to landlords directly, just like I now reach out to business owners directly. But I use some of my background in intelligence to find out a bit more. So, for example, if I got a target company, I try to find out, okay, who owns the company, Are they profitable? Okay, fine. I know who owns it. I know that it's profitable. It's on the right size. What else can I find out about the company? Can I talk to people who work in the company or customers? Now I talk about like a company where I got serious interest, and I have one of those as we speak, which has got like a good size of profit, very interesting, absolutely not for sale, but for the right kind of deal structure, it still might be up for sale. So I will reach out completely cold to the owner, but I'm slowly warming up the people around and finding out more. So when I eventually meet the main owner, I'll be in a position of strength in terms of information. That means that I am having the upper hand in terms of asking the right questions. And that ultimately will lead to that this person will probably think that actually I know what I talk about, which I actually do. And also because of my previous deal experience, he can see my track record that actually, okay, it makes sense. This individual can actually come up with this fantasy number of dollars. And all of a sudden now it might become quite interesting. Like, do I really want to grind and have this company for another 3, 4, 5 years? Or would I like to check out today with like a 30% of the upside instead of 100% after 5 to 10 more years work? And also depending on the owner, you can be clever. For example, there's something called private equity, and they usually have like a fund, and they got a life cycle of the fund. So in the beginning, they raise the funds, then they buy the companies, they grow the companies, and then it's time to sell the companies. Why? Because they have to return the money. So to know, for example, that this is owned by private equity company, they've had it for 7 years. That means that they're really going to sell it like immediately, even if it's not on the market yet. It's the perfect time to approach them. But the more you know about acquisitions, the better mentors you have, the better role models, and the more you learn, the better conversations you can have. And all of a sudden, when you do good deals, deals start to come to you. And that's a fantastic place to be. And someone called Daniel Priestley, who I highly recommend to have on your podcast, he's talking about key personal influence, like the people who are on top of the information food chain, really like the top of the pyramid. They usually get the best deals. They usually get the most value and most money for exactly the same amount of time. So the best MMA fighters will get a lot, and the people who are average will get very little, and the people who are poor fighters, they will get nothing. They will just get beaten. And it's the same in business. Like the top people, if you like to be part of that pack, you need to really invest in your own education, and deliver on your promises. That means you gain the trust of the whole market, and things start to come to you. I was in that position in terms of real estate in London. I had deals coming to me all day long because of the credibility I've built with many thousands of people all across UK and globally. And now I've pivoted into buying companies. Again, I'm building the brand from ground up to create the same scenario over the next 2, 3 years, where I will have a huge deal flow because of, I mean, you can already hear that I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
And I'm
100%.
literally just getting started. So yeah, I'm just getting started. So yeah. But the cool thing, you can't learn this in school. Even if I got like triple business degrees, that is not where I got most of this knowledge. It's not. It's from investing in like unusual other interesting mentors, coaches, and of course, learning by doing. Experience is invaluable. You can't just consume content.
Yeah. And then, Fredrik, what is what type of business are you buying? Are you buying those businesses also in UK, or it doesn't matter which country?
Uh, I
But
would
the
like
law
to
change in
sorry,
different countries.
I know. Yeah, but that's a big change. I mean, many of my friends, including myself, I've left the UK like for tax reasons just the other year. And right now, with the latest tax changes, I know so many of my richer friends are changing tax domicile. So they
A
live
lot of
somewhere
people
else
living in
because
Portugal,
it's
no?
start
A lot
gets
of people from UK moved to
yeah,
Portugal for
well,
tax reasons, right?
and another flashy place,
I got a
Dubai
lot of friends
is up
living
there.
there.
Yeah. I mean, you got the language right as well. I mean, right? You know Portuguese and Spanish, right?
Yeah. So yeah,
Yeah.
UK is very, very is tough with the taxes there, but the deals are good. The deals are good in
Yes.
UK. The property, if you know what
Yeah,
you're doing.
yeah.
Wow.
Deals are
We sold
good.
over 5 million doing
Yes.
rent to rent in London. So imagine, I'm telling you,
Perfect.
17 years ago,
Yeah.
when there was no Airbnb or anything like this. Was my first business, doing
Perfect.
rent to rent in East London. Yeah, we
Yes.
have a lot of fun, and it was amazing. That was my beginnings as an entrepreneur. Since then, again, like I had a
Only.
restaurant. I've been in different industry on several
Yes.
businesses. So that's what I'm saying always, that business are like girlfriends. Some of them are better than
Yeah.
others. So we had to check every
Yeah.
time that somebody come to me, Harry, let's do this business. I say, hold on a minute, hold on. What type of business?
Yes.
Because I had to check what I'm getting involved. Because,
I mean, you
when I was young, long time ago,
yeah,
17
that's
years
good.
ago, I said, let's have a restaurant. Yeah, go for it. Let's do this. Of course we're doing. I'm the king. We know everything. Now, after so many, so much experience, every time somebody come to me, Harry, let's buy this business. I'm selling this business. Let's get involved in this business. I'm like, hold on.
Yeah.
Let me have a look to
Yeah.
see if it's worth it, because and sometimes, entrepreneurs, we like shiny objects, and we are so excited about
Yes.
new things, because we love to be in
Yes.
business. We only know how to talk about business. All our friends are business people.
Exactly.
Even this podcast, we already interview 500 millionaires, all of them entrepreneurs. So imagine I'm surrounding myself with entrepreneurs and
Yeah, exactly.
multimillionaires that the people hang around all the time. So for me, outside this community, this environment, I have few friends, that have jobs and things like that,
Yes.
and they're very good friends of mine. But the way that we operate and we speak is completely different. Our reality is completely different. The reality that an employee face
Yes.
every day by day. So we operate in a different mindset and different things, right?
Yes.
So my friends,
And
for example, my
all
friend that have a
yeah.
job, they always saying, Harry, look, to make money, you really need to work really, really hard. That's the only choice. And I'm like, no, guys, I don't think so. I don't think that, you have to, yeah, at some point, if you're starting a business, of course, you have to work hard. But doesn't last forever.
Yeah.
If you manage to automatize and put everything autopilot, because of all my property business that I had in East London,
Yes.
it was running autopilot. Actually, my employees fired me. One day I arrived to the office, and, and my general manager told me, Harry, what are you doing here? I said, look, I'm coming to the office. I go home. We don't need you. I'm like, what? We don't
Yeah.
need you. We can grow this without you. I'm like, but you don't need paper in the photocopy. No, we can get our own paper in the photocopy.
Yeah.
Travel the
Yeah.
world, get out
That's
of
good.
here. My manager was telling me, because you have nothing to do, you come here, you're talking to us all the time, you don't let us work. So you go home. Go home and stay
Yeah.
there. And she told me, I will come once a month to inform you what I'm doing with the company. I'm saying, well, it seems like a plan, and it really literally was like this. She was coming to talk to me once a month for 2 hours to inform me what she was doing. Look, I'm gonna expand here. We're gonna do
Yes.
this. We hire these people, blah blah. These are the numbers. But she's like informing me, what she's
Yes.
doing, and it
Yeah.
was
I mean
amazing. So
that's really good. That's really good.
yeah.
It comes back to the first example of the first million
But the
story.
first
Like
two
if
years,
the
I
hires are
had to
good.
wear all the
Yes.
hats. I had to wear all the hats. Like,
Of course.
if we had to paint the rooms, I had to paint it myself. Now in my company, I saw that the guys, they were, okay, we need to paint the room. Let's call the contractor. We need to fix this. Let's call the contractor. And everything was so smooth. And I was looking, I said, guys, you see this business now, but when I started, it was not like this. When I was started, there was no funds. So if the room needs
Yes.
to be painted, I was painting it. If a boiler breaks, I will
Yeah.
go there to try to switch it off, to reset, to put the pressure, to whatever, to see if I can make it
Yeah. Yeah.
work. Or
I know what you mean.
and last resort, we call the
Been
contractor.
there.
Now the guys,
Done that. Done that.
just for the low pressure, call the contractor. Look, charge it
Yeah. Yeah.
200 pounds. Put the pressure on. It's just to move
Yeah.
that up. But anyway,
Yes.
but this is the
Yeah.
price of
Done the
freedom,
same.
Fredrik. It's the price of freedom.
Yes.
So the point that we're trying to make is that once you decide, that's the other thing that I get, Fredrik. Yeah. So a lot of people come, and when you said, okay, Fredrik, help me to grow the business, and you say, okay, I'm gonna help you out, and the entrepreneur come and say, but Fredrik, you don't understand, my business is different. And I'm like, man,
Yeah.
you sure your business is different? You think that it's different, but
Yeah.
it doesn't. So in your opinion, are business so much different one or the other one, or they have like an 80% that is common for all
It
the
is
business?
depending on the industry, it is very, very similar. The entrepreneur journey is very, very similar. The entrepreneur stages are very similar. The growth pains are the same across all industries. I've been working in a huge number of industries because of my consulting background, and also across regions. The problems and challenges are very similar, and ultimately, all companies are run by people.
Mm-hmm.
And people have got similar traits. We are both performing and lazy at the same time. How can you trick us? How can we trick ourselves to be performing and create high performance habits versus just being procrastinating? And we all know what we should do. We know what we should eat. We know how we should exercise. We know how we should invest and how we should not do it. We know how to not take credit. But for all the temptations in the world, we are doing the wrong life choices on a daily basis, many of them. Right now, I'm drinking water. Earlier, I was drinking Coke. I know Coke is not fantastic for me, but I still drink Coke Zero. Yeah, I still drank it. Yeah, bad choice of today. Good choice today. I found 3 hours of exercise. That's on the plus
Very
account.
good. Yeah,
And
very good. I'm
so,
playing
yeah,
tennis as
so
well to keep my mind
that's good.
to get fit. But Freddy, look, now let's talk about statistic books. In this podcast, Five
Yes,
Steps to Make Your First Million, the statistics is, and it shows that 1 out of 5 people um, that come to this, 1 out of 5 entrepreneurs that show up to this broadcast on a stop of 5 Steps How to Make Your First
yes,
Million are property investors, okay?
yes,
And then 1 out of 5 also they are tech entrepreneurs. Okay, so what do you think? Is it actually so easy become a millionaire doing properties or doing tech? Or what is really or why we have a larger number of property investors and tech entrepreneurs showing up to this podcast yet?
yes.
And it's
I look
because
for I look forward to respond to
so
this.
okay, go tell us
Yeah, so bring it.
why.
I think to become a property millionaire is by far the fastest way to get a millionaire in debt.
Why?
Yes, you heard right. It's so easy. It's so easy to get £1 million in debt. So in reality, if you like to be a millionaire in my world, it's not having like £1 million or dollars assets under management. It's actually like the net. And all of a sudden, if you start to review your listeners, sorry, not listeners, but also people on the actual in podcast, if you net out plus and minus, are they still millionaires or multimillionaires? Probably many
No,
are not.
they are the people that
So
show up.
really,
I can guarantee you that
yeah,
they are.
yeah, yeah,
They
yeah,
have a large
yeah.
development
That's good. That's fine.
portfolio.
No, yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
telling
My point
you,
is really, in terms of
yeah.
real estate, I like real estate, but it's very different. I love the aspect you can use leverage to a high extent and in a very profitable way. I like that. And in terms of buying companies, if you pick the right ones, you can buy a lot higher cash flow. And many times also when you buy a company, you actually get real estate as a bonus because the company actually owns real estate as well.
Mm-hmm.
And here is a trick shot. This is a bonus knowledge for those who pay attention to details. Almost all larger companies that buy companies, they don't want to have real estate. So if you are in a position to sell your company, try to split the real estate and the company into two different companies, which means ultimately you can remain and retain the commercial property and lease it to the company at a fair market rate. And that will be a much more interesting acquisition for the people who will buy it. But if you are a smart and savvy business buyer, you buy all of it because it's much easier to finance it.
Absolutely.
And then once you buy it, even on like the first day with the right solicitor, you can have like a real estate company and a company without real estate. And day one, now you have commercial property that will be paid by your business. This is your retirement long term. This is your short term, 1, 2, 5, 3, 5, 10 years, whatever.
100%. Yeah.
Exactly. And now you got the bonus funding, you got the extra commercial property that you will actually pay for yourself through your own company. So yeah, trick shot.
I think property is an easy way one of the easiest way to become a millionaire because you're buying something that appreciate, which is the property, with something that depreciate, which is money. But however, we need to say to our listeners that you have to be aware and you have to do your due diligence carefully, because when something goes wrong in property, and we all been there, we're talking about 60,000, 100,000. So yes, when where is you can make very good profits if you invest in the right location at the right time and buy at the right price. And the truth, you can become wealthy really, really fast if you know what you're doing, if you practice a lot. But you have to be careful because, again, if something goes wrong in property, sometimes if the mistake is so big, it's gonna be very difficult sometimes for people even to get back up. So be careful, do your due diligence. And the other one is tech, and it's because of the valuation of tech companies. So when a traditional business, Freddy, this is right, your budget, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe traditional business is 3 times, 7 times EBITDA or profit, the value that you can buy this business. Tech is 10 times, 12 times. I hear that sometimes 20 times. So they have
it really depends on, you're right, in terms when we start to like get into like the millions, you're right.
Therefore we have so many millionaires in the tech space also, because the company they have very low barrier to entry, and it's very easy to scale, and the valuation at 10x, 12x, and sometimes 20. So this is one of the main reasons.
So if you look, for example, on one software and e-commerce platforms called Flippa, if you go there, you will actually see the valuation in terms of like number of months of revenue. So they often the relatively small ones are maybe between 12, 24, 36 months of revenue is the sale price, which means basically it's 3 times the sale, which is not the same as measured by EBIT. It's just a different way to measure many of these technical e-com companies in the first few years. That's how it's valued. But of course, I find more appropriate to use like the EBIT valuations, EBITDA, and then, like you said, when you're into the like million or to 5 million, 10 million of profit, then you're absolutely in the range you mentioned, like everything from like 7 to 12 to, if it's really, really, really strong growth potential, etc., it can be as high as up to 20. I have friends of friends who've sold for a multiple of 44 times EBIT.
Wow. A tech company.
That's a lot.
So what was a tech company? Wow.
I'm not allowed to say. I'm not allowed to say.
No. Okay, so never hear.
But that's a one-off. Yes.
Wow, that's
it's the highest I've ever heard. Yes.
Spectacular.
44.
My goodness.
Not bad. So usually when you got those crazy valuations, it's because it's a strategic buyer, someone who's buying it for whatever amount, and then rolling it into their own platform.
Exactly, they have their own distribution. They have their own distribution channel for that product already in place. So for them, it's very easy to plug that new company into the current
Exactly.
distribution channel. Yeah, yeah.
It's
So
a
that
strategic buyer is the name. Yeah.
Okay, so tell us about your book. Why you decide to write this book? Where
All
can we
right.
buy? Where can we buy it?
Yeah.
And
It was
if people are in
a
love with
fun
our
and painful
conversation,
process.
oh, tell me about it. It's like having a baby. I wrote several.
Yeah.
It's,
Right.
so
So the book you can find on Amazon. It's a bestseller called "Trust is the New Currency." Basically, how you can use
I
trust
like
to
the title.
attract
Title is good.
your team, how you can attract partners, and ultimately how you can also attract money. And it's written by myself and a co-author, Sheila. She's got like a peer lending company. So we used our knowledge together and came up with that one in a long writing process. But I'm probably going to publish 2 more books this year. One is pretty much done. We'll see on social media when it comes, but it's all related to trust and investing, which is of course the theme that might be of interest to your audience. But yeah, Trust is New Currency by Fredrick Sandvall. You can just find it on Amazon. The cool thing, if you think about the keywords, if you search for trust, and then my last time, which is Sandvall with a V on Amazon, think about it, Harry. If you search for your name and trust, and you pop up on top of Google as number 1, it's a good situation. It's good.
So,
Yeah.
Fredrik, so your co-author, she has a peer-to-peer lending business, and I remember this back in the day in London. I was working with a group of people
Yes.
when these licenses started to come in
Yes.
London, which was
Yes.
a very long process with had to spend a lot in lawyers to get those licenses. So a group of my friends got those licenses at the very beginning, and it was tough, but they got it. Yeah. Apparently now the market have changed so much that peer-to-peer lending is very common now. But back in the day, you need a license. I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's still you need it. I don't know, but I think for the FCA and things like this.
It depends on your setup. So I have had 3 companies that were very much using the FCA, Financial Conduct Authority's license, with a designated license number for the company and permission. And I, as a director, I also had to be approved and do additional training, etc. The more you know, the more you can find different ways how to do this. So after having done this for a couple of years, I found ways how to help a crowdfunding platform to get away from the licensing. They didn't need it unless if they fulfill a few other criteria. So the more you know about financing, the more creative you can be, and still, of course, be legal and compliant.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because one thing that many people misunderstand is you can't promote anything on social media, because certain investments you're not allowed to market to the wider audience, and that's a mistake that many, especially people in real estate, are doing in the UK.
Yeah, they have to
and
be
the same
careful.
also in the US.
You have to be careful because
same with the SCA rules in the US. You can't promote like investments on social media and hope that just Joe on the street will just invest in you. You can't do that, because he doesn't have the right knowledge, and you might not have the right license. So it means that you're violating the law. You might get away with it, but you might also, even after the fact, be forced to pay back money to investors.
Can be in
even
trouble,
if you
yeah.
lose all their money, you still might be potentially they can reclaim it from you, because exactly you shouldn't have had the money in the first place. Yes,
that's exactly what, and this is the whole point of the real estate. Yeah, you can become a millionaire in real estate. We can call it somehow easy if you do your due diligence and you pay attention, but be careful with your risk.
Yes,
how much risk you take, and do you do due diligence properly, because if something goes wrong, the hit is big. So thank you so much, Fredrik. So somebody want to know more about what you do and is in love, and somebody want to buy the business, somebody want to sell the business, somebody want to know more about your book. How can they find you? How this process work?
The best place to find me is on LinkedIn. Fredrick Sandvall. I'm sure you put my name in your show notes. And that's absolutely the best place to reach me. I'm still accepting connection invites. And from there, we take the conversation where you need to go. If you're going to sell your company, if you like to have advice, if you like me to point you in the right direction, I'm always happy to pay it forward. And I help a lot of people all the time. I've helped many hundreds become multi-billionaires in property, coached people to reach tens of millions. My biggest business deal I helped to close was more than €1 billion. So I learned a few things along the way. So yeah, happy to help out. And more importantly, whatever you have heard on this podcast and other places, try some stuff in reality, because knowledge without action is just useless.
Exactly. Do it for real and try in small scale first. Master this small scale before you expand too fast. Yeah. Be careful because business is exciting, but there is risk involved in that excitement and you have to be aware of it.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Fredrik. And for all of you following this broadcast, see you in our next episode of Unstoppable, how brave entrepreneur like Fredrik break that wall and achieve the first million. Not even that. Now he has freedom to live the life how he wanted. Apparently, he likes traveling like me. So he moves a lot and he only needs a computer and a connection to the internet. And if you have an attractive business in US, UK, Europe, whatever, he might be able to have a look and you can end up with surprise. He can retire you if you want to. So
yes, exactly.
Thank you so much and see you in our next episode of Unstoppable. Bye for now.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.